What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and tonight we're going to be talking about the fossil of a topic, which is Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer, and the possibility of seeing an early release for the next Call of Duty. Definitely stay tuned. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And real quickly, we have a new bundle over in Vanguard, which is one of a few bundles that actually works in the game. And I hate to say that, but that's just been the case when it comes to the item shop for Vanguard thus far. We have the Red Reactor Mastercraft Pack with a Steamer Blueprint, a Death's Throne Blueprint for the dinner plate, a Watch Reticle sticker, charm, calling card, and even a spray. I'm seeing reports that the only thing wrong with this bundle is one of the reticles that's just not working, but it's not too big of a deal. We also have red laser tracers and energy dismemberment, which not only work in multiplayer, but even zombies, which is weird because in Cold War, the dismemberment effects did not work in zombies, only the multiplayer. So a bit of a step up here for Vanguard, which I'm happy about. We have some beautiful footage from Viola Woolcool. Shout out to her. Her link is, of course, down below in the description, and it really means a lot. We have some really cool tracers, as you can see, which kind of remind me of the laser weapons we had from Advanced Warfare, coincidentally also a game made by Sledgehammer. Kind of reminds me of the EM1 or the AE4 with the way these tracers look, and they're cool looking. Let me know how you're feeling about these down below in the comments, but I mean, it would make sense, right? Sledgehammer did Advanced Warfare, which to me is a top tier Call of Duty, so there's no reason why they can't get some cool futuristic laser looking tracers here for Vanguard, even though it isn't really realistic, but who cares about that, right? We're way beyond that point right now. But now we have a major report about Modern Warfare 2, the upcoming sequel from Infinity Ward, dropping presumably this fall. It's being claimed by several scoopers, including Tom Henderson, that because of how low the sales were for Call of Duty Vanguard, the next Modern Warfare may be releasing in around early October, much earlier than a lot of previous Call of Duty titles, kind of similar to Black Ops 4, right? And that could, I guess you could say, make up for the Vanguard sales and give Activision some solid numbers in, still the fourth quarter of 2022, but still a lot sooner than waiting until late November to do that. So fair enough, and apparently marketing for this game does start this summer, but if the game does release earlier than expected, then maybe we'll at least get some teasers in, I could say, April or May, then a full reveal in maybe late May, early June. That's kind of what I'm guessing right now. I could be mistaken, but they're expecting this game to be the second coming of Christ. They've already said good things about the upcoming Call of Duty, even when Vanguard just really came out. Season 1 barely released, a good month and a half ago, and they're already talking about the next Modern Warfare, which they know for a fact is going to be a hit because of the success of Modern Warfare 2019. Now, although Vanguard is still #1 for sales of 2021, and Call of Duty is still a top-selling franchise for PlayStation and other platforms too, despite that, Vanguard is still the worst performing Call of Duty in 14 years. That's how you know Call of Duty is a massive franchise and will always sell extraordinarily well unless something really does happen and changes. Right now, we just expect success from the series even when they're at an all-time low, but Activision was not happy about Vanguard's numbers, and they want to get Modern Warfare 2 out as soon as they possibly can. But notice how in the tweet from Tom Henderson, he mentions that the title could release in October due to Vanguard's poor sales, with a big Warzone update coming soon after, whether that's in maybe November, much sooner than a typical Warzone integration update like we had for Cold War and then recently for Vanguard. That's interesting considering I recently read a report about the next Warzone map coming sooner than you all think, and that video was going in more depth about a Rebirth scaled Warzone map, not one that's as big as Caldera, but one that's presumably the size of Rebirth. And apparently we have a couple of anniversaries coming up in which the release of that small map could happen, whether it's the anniversary of Verdansk 84 during Season 3 April-ish, or the anniversary of Rebirth, which is in December. But what about the anniversary of Warzone itself when it first released with the original Verdansk in March? We could end up getting a small-scale Warzone map this upcoming March. Totally plausible, but when it comes to a big Warzone update for Modern Warfare 2 2022, it might end up being in November, maybe a couple of weeks after the launch of Infinity Ward's new game, so keep that in mind. Now, something I expressed on the podcast, which definitely bothers me and a lot of other fans out there, is that, look, we know Infinity Ward has potential. I mean, hey, I love the old Modern Warfare trilogy. I was a major fanboy for Ghost. Wasn't too on board with Infinite Warfare, but I really respected that campaign and what they went for with the ambitious ideas. I do respect them as a studio, but it's unfortunate that only they've had the opportunity to have a full 3-year development cycle without any interruptions whatsoever. Sure, COVID could have impacted some things, but they haven't had the struggles that Treyarch, Raven, or Sledgehammer have had, where they've had to step away from certain projects, work on others, clutch up certain game modes for other developers. Treyarch has gotten screwed over so many times in the past couple of years that it's disturbing, but hopefully Treyarch does have a full 3-year cycle to pump out COD 2023, if that's when it's even coming out. But it's just unfortunate that people will look at Infinity Ward as, the only good studio that can polish their games and have everything done, but they they've just been the only studio that wasn't interrupted by anybody else. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, but don't take this as some type of jab towards Infinity Ward where I'm like, oh, I like Treyarch so much better, screw Modern Warfare. That's not what I'm trying to say at all. What I'm trying to say is that Infinity Ward wasn't the studio that had to clutch up for Sledgehammer several times in a row, picking up COD 2020, taking over that project, clutching up zombies and competitive multiplayer for Vanguard. They haven't had to do any of that. Treyarch had to, which impacted maybe the last updates they wanted to put out for Black Ops Cold War. It's going to impact their organization and structure for the foundation of COD 2023. I mean, Treyarch has gotten screwed over so many times, and all I'm asking for here is that all dev studios going forward, even before the Microsoft acquisition, get equal amounts of time to work on their games. They don't have to worry about clutching up for other studios. I want every studio to handle their own shit and get each of their games done accordingly with a full 3-year development cycle under their belt. But like I mentioned in previous videos, the COD cycle may end up coming to an end anyway. But now when it comes to Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer, a topic that I haven't discussed for quite some time, here's the thing. It might be too confusing for the average consumer to have multiple MW2s releasing in the same year, even if the upcoming sequel from Infinity Ward has the Roman numeral 2 and not the number 2 like the old Modern Warfare 2 game. Now, there's a contract between Sony and Activision, which apparently got signed several years ago to remaster the old Modern Warfare trilogy and have all those games released a little bit early for PlayStation. And that was the case for Modern Warfare 1 and 2, but things got a bit weird in 2020. I think the contract at some point changed, and we're not really sure as to why. I'm not sure if the recent allegations with Activision Blizzard or anything else behind the scenes had anything to do with that contract potentially changing, but after MW2 Remastered campaign came out, there were still rumors that apparently MW2 multiplayer was finished, it was on deck, and that it would eventually release as a bit of a safety net if something were to go wrong with a new Call of Duty game, similar to Infinite Warfare, where MW1 Remastered in full was a bit of a saving grace for that year because they ended up updating 3 Call of Duties at once. Black Ops 3, Modern Warfare 1 Remastered, and even Infinite Warfare. It was a bit of an unusual year for the COD franchise, but there was so much content to go around, there was so much to do. I think it was a fun year for people out there to bounce between game to game that all played drastically different from one another, even though Infinite Warfare was kind of a carbon copy BO3, but you get the point. It was still an interesting year nonetheless with different types of content. There was also a mod that was in development for Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer, but on Black Ops 3. It was in development for some time, but once certain members of this project that were vital for the project's completion ended up leaving this new mod for Black Ops 3, then we just knew the project was dead in the water and has been for quite some time, despite some members in the team still saying that, oh, it was possibly still going to happen. You just know it wasn't, but it was unfortunate because there were some actual major articles out there that were written about the development of this mod, and we were all hoping and crossing our fingers that Activision wouldn't eventually just come in and shut everything down, saying, yeah, you can't do that, in the case that they might have had the real Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer coming at some point soon, but nothing ever really happened and the project fell through. So we're like, okay, well, this puts an end to the Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer saga, right? Well, not exactly. There is some hope for those out there that wanted to play a remastered Modern Warfare 2, and here's what's going on. We have something called SM2. This is something that I've seen a lot of comments about in some of my previous videos. I've seen comments like, DK, how are you not covering SM2? What are you doing? And I'm like, huh? What is SM2? I had no idea what it was, but what it is the ultimate modded Call of Duty experience built off of the Modern Warfare 2 engine with all new weapons, perks, point streaks, maps, and more from several fan favorite Call of Duty titles. It's getting put together by JTag Mod, Simon, and a few others that I'll put on screen so you can see. Now, there is an official SM2 Twitter account, an SM2 YouTube channel with different footage, and the thing is, I was a bit unaware of who was even putting together this project. I do some research myself to figure out what was going on here, but I would absolutely love to interview some of these developers one day on the podcast, talk about their experience with bringing together this insanely crazy and ambitious modded Call of Duty experience. It's going to have 100 plus weapons, new maps, perks, streaks, controller support with aim assist, and all new progression system. Wager matches are coming back for this, and there is gameplay I'll have on screen so you guys can see from their YouTube channel. They post different clips, search and destroy, sniping, the map Overwatch or Modern Warfare 3. There's even legacy music tracks from all fan favorite Call of Duty titles that you can play at any point that you want while in-game here. There's even free-for-all gameplay. I mean, this game looks incredible. They even announced a new credits currency where there's no real money involved, like a microtransaction or anything, but it's similar to how COD points worked back during Black Ops 1, where you would use the points on different weapons and content. And as they wrote on their website, which is also linked down below, to give players more freedom when choosing how to spend their credits, we've added the reward store. In the store, you'll find exclusive items that, while attractive, don't come cheap, and it could be a hard choice between buying a new weapon or saving up for a store item. Currently, you can find the following item types in the store: melee weapons, emblems, calling cards, signature weapon variants, cosmetic only, camos, reticles, and player models. These items come in 4 different rarities: common, rare, ultra, exotic, and can be purchased at any time if you can afford it, and won't be reset during prestige. So you can use credits while playing the game and saving them up to obviously set up your classes, buy the weapons that you want, but also can enjoy a variety of different cosmetics that can just entice your gameplay a little bit. It could just be there for cosmetic purposes, but it gives you something to grind for, something to do. And it's crazy that they're going all out by creating this ultimate Call of Duty experience with actual replayability people have been asking for in the mainstream series. Now, we also have a new progression system. So as they wrote, you'll start your journey at level 1 and work your way up to level 100. Once you reach level 100, you have the option of staying at that level or entering prestige. When you enter prestige for the first time, all your stats will be reset and you'll start your road to Grandmaster Prestige at level 1 without your previously purchased gear. From here on, you're on a journey straight to level 1000. After entering prestige mode for the first time, there are no more resets. Every 50 levels will reward you with prestige tokens and credits. Your tokens can be spent in the prestige store, where you can buy custom class slots, prestige icons, and even more, similar to the system in Black Ops Cold War. Once you hit level 1000 though, your player card will be gilded and everything in the prestige store will be free to purchase. So there is really something to work towards here. This is absolutely incredible, and like I kind of said earlier, this is essentially a bit of a replacement for the Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer mod that was in development that was going to be playable through Black Ops 3. This is different though. This is going off of the old Modern Warfare 2 engine, so it's gonna feel like actual classic Call of Duty like we haven't really had in a while. So I'm really excited for this, and I get it. It's limited to just people that have PCs, so it's exclusive. I totally understand that. You know, it's a bit of a struggle whenever reporting on something that is only available for people that own a PC, which is not the majority at all compared to console players, and in a perfect world, this could somehow come to console, but you know that's not going to happen. Now, I've seen this statement going around, which is kind of surprising. It says that Activision announced in recent earnings that Call of Duty currently has 111 million monthly active users, but that most of these users were on computers. And this is coming from Activision Chief Operating Officer, where he also mentions, hey, the PC player base is now 10 times larger than third quarter of last year. I'm not surprised about that part because, yeah, Warzone is free to play, so without a doubt, more people on PC are going to be playing Call of Duty now. And at one point, yeah, PlayStation was the best place to play Call of Duty if you cared about exclusives, but once the acquisition goes through between Microsoft and Activision, the best place is going to end up being the PC if there's any exclusives in the Xbox ecosystem with playing Call of Duty on Game Pass. But regardless of exclusives, you don't care about those, then of course PC has always been the best place that you could play Call of Duty, and will be the only place that you can play SM2. I still think, as reported by Doug earlier on Warzone, consoles represent about 70% of the player base, if not more. But 30% on PC is still a lot of people, don't get me wrong, so a good amount of people will have access to SM2. I love covering custom content, whether it's a custom zombies map from Black Ops 3, or a cool mod like this that involves Call of Duty multiplayer. I love covering things like this, but I'm not trying to make this out to be something where I'm like, okay guys, I'm gonna clickbait this as such a big update, but it's only on PC. No, I'm trying to say, hey guys, if you're a hardcore Call of Duty player on a PC, then this is definitely for you. Now, if you guys are wondering what the release date is for SM2, I haven't seen anything anywhere about when this is supposed to come out. Who knows when it'll be? I want the project to be done right, so I'm not in a rush for them to put this out anytime soon, but whenever it does release, it'll be the right time regardless. You'll always have those people that pick up a new Call of Duty and say, look, it's not for them, and it's not like classic COD. They're tired of the new changes, they're tired of Warzone integrations, but SM2, whenever it does come out, will be for all those people that want to get their hands on some classic COD again, featuring a variety of different maps, weapons, and even cosmetics that were in a lot of previous fan favorite games. Talked about this before, but I'm currently working on building an absolute disgusting PC, which is going to be incredible, out of this world in terms of the specs. So whenever I get that done, it's going to be great to have everything set up and ready to go for the launch of SM2 at some point. Now, if you guys are still thinking, well, what about the real Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer? Will it ever happen? And in my opinion, I don't think so. I mean, maybe the rumor is true true that it's sitting on a shelf somewhere waiting to be released whenever a Call of Duty flops, but if Vanguard just did that poor, then why would it now be a good time to release that? It probably doesn't exist anymore, and if it did at one point, it might have gotten shelved or scrapped completely. We don't know, but I do still see the possibility of Modern Warfare 3 campaign remastered if a deal still exists at all between Sony and Activision to at least finish off the remastered campaigns and release those 30 days early for PlayStation platforms. Maybe that'll happen, but it's like I mentioned before, I don't think it at all fits Activision's current agenda to remaster any multiplayer. I would love to see it for games like World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, MW2, of course I want to see that, but does it fit with Activision's current agenda, which really focuses on Warzone integrations, bundles, the new Battle Pass system? How could they incorporate all of that with a remastered multiplayer? They likely can't. How do they monetize it? If you're saying, oh, well, just don't monetize it then, just release it for fun, you know they're not going to do that. So I don't think it at all works for them to release remastered multiplayer, at least not right now. Maybe the Microsoft acquisition could change that at some point in the future, though. But all that aside, we have a Black Ops 2 Revival Day, speaking of older Call of Duties, on Friday, January the 28th, as reported by Modern Warzone. Everyone is saying, look, save the date. It's going to be the day where you could play Black Ops 2 on any console, Plutonium, PC, wherever that is, and probably get the biggest player base in quite some time to play around with. And that's cool whenever people announce stuff like this for the community. It gets people to actually get on and have a really healthy player base again. But yes, there's still going to be hackers. They're running rampant everywhere in some of the older titles, so I'm not surprised about that. But Modern Warzone then reported on the fact that cheat platforms had decided to launch a free cheat day on the same day the event is planned, unfortunately, Friday the 28th. And he's been made aware that playing BO2 on console or Steam can be dangerous for your IP address and sometimes even more, which I'm really confused about. I'm like, why would anybody go through with something like this, especially on a day where it's supposed to help out the player base for an older game like Black Ops 2? I'm really confused on that. So if you're saying console and Steam aren't safe, then I guess Plutonium's your only option if you have PC, which is weird. Now we also have a new tweet from the guy Ralph, who has been reporting a lot of very specific information about the second Modern Warfare game. And here's the thing, to briefly go into who this guy is, it looks like he has type of source from Infinity Ward, but I think to keep his Twitter account relevant and to keep it real active, this person has begun making guesses and talking about things dealing with other dev studios, which I don't think is accurate at all. If he does only have a source from Infinity Ward, how would he know very much about Black Ops, Treyarch, Sledgehammer, Vanguard? I don't think he knows that much, but other COD partners and journalists have reported on this guy's tweets, so we're gonna read this here just with a grain of salt, of course. But he's claiming he'll have a future report going in more detail about this, but the campaign for MW2 seems to end on a note which suggests a finale, but he's heard something relating to branching narratives, which doesn't shoot down the chance of a subsequent trilogy. And that's the thing, right? If MW2's campaign ending seems like an actual ending to whatever this new rebooted story is, then is there a third MW game that'll happen after that? I think there definitely will be, considering how successful the sales will probably be for this game coming up. I think the whole point of rebooting Modern Warfare to begin with was to have a newer version of the Infinity Ward team with a lot of active writers and active devs that weren't around in the old days. It was just to get all these guys together to make a brand new Modern Warfare trilogy without the disastrous transition in between MW2 to MW3 back when Infinity Ward sued Activision many, many years ago. And that, of course, affected the development of the third Modern Warfare game, which might have even changed the storyline a little bit to where Sledgehammer had to step in and help Infinity Ward make the game, finish the game, I should say. This time around, Infinity Ward has been solid on their own feet, so there's no reason why they can't make a new trilogy without any interruptions this time or any crazy lawsuits or any other issues. That was the point to me as to why they rebooted Modern Warfare, and to also start connecting this with the greater Call of Duty canon by tying this into the current Black Ops universe. But that is about it. This has been dkdynamite. Leave all your thoughts down below in the comment section. What are your thoughts on Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer still happening somewhat, sorta, in the form of SM2? And also, what are your thoughts on the possibility of seeing Modern Warfare 2 from Infinity Ward releasing earlier than expected later this fall? Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everybody.